Hey everybody, Darren Voros here. Today I'm here with Robinson Smith and we're going to talk about the Smith Manoeuvre. And Robinson's going to walk us through a strategy that he's been using for many years as a way to plan for retirement and really set yourself up for success in retirement. I'm so excited that he's here to join us today and talk about this maneuver that he's been teaching and using for many, many years. Before we get into it with Robinson, if you haven't done so already, you can subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell, and please feel free to leave comments and questions below for me. And without further ado, let's get into it. Robinson, so great to have you here. Thanks for taking some time out of your day to join us and really talk us through the Smith Manoeuvre. Before we jump in with you, give us a bit of a bio on who you are and what you do in the real estate investing space.
Yeah, well, first off, I wouldn't miss an opportunity to be on with the legend here, Darren. So I would have dropped whatever I was doing. As for real estate investing, I'm not a big real estate investor now. I've got a rental property, and that's about it. I also do some private lending.
Yep.
I'm in a REIT, so a little bit sort of more on the sidelines as regards real estate. But my real passion is getting out to Canadian homeowners coast to coast about the financial strategy known as the Smith Manoeuvre, which was developed by my father back in the mid 80s. I was an investment advisor for a dozen years, and it was time to stop educating Canadians one at a time across the desk as an advisor and get the word out across Canada, because there's something here that Canadian homeowners can utilize to really benefit them in terms of their tax bill, in terms of their retirement savings, and in terms of, the hefty mortgage that they all have. So
you mentioned your dad sort of created the Smith Manoeuvre. What was the origin of it and how did it come about?
Well, back in the mid 80s, he was a financial planner in Vancouver, and he co-founded a company called Granville West Group. And he was the advisor. There's an insurance guy, etc. But he was interested in the fact that the Americans could deduct the interest on their mortgage and we couldn't here in Canada. And gosh darn it, Fraser didn't think that was very fair. So he did what anyone would do, which is to read the Tax Act, right? Sorry, honey, I can't go for dinner. I'm going to read the Tax Act. And so he came up with the fact that, if we Canadians borrow to invest with a reasonable expectation of generating income, we can deduct the interest. Whereas if we borrow to consume, we cannot. And when you buy a house, that's considered a consumption item. So the mortgage on that is 100% non-deductible.
So, walk us through the maneuver, how it works and how it benefits Canadians from, like you say, being able to take this product that is not tax deductible and make it a tax deductible product.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll just share my screen here. I even customized it with your name there, Dan.
Thank you very much. You've spared no expense this afternoon.
I just got this back from my graphic designer this morning. Okay, so we'll just dive into it. There's a lot to cover. If this is new for someone, they're not going to fully understand, but hopefully it'll give them the flavor that there is an opportunity to help them out with a simple restructuring of their financial affairs. So I'll go through it relatively quickly.
I'm going to be your best student here because I have not really, I did not really research this method because I want to be a learning alongside, everybody else. So I'm going to probably ask some silly questions, but
okay. Well, I'll slow it down for you, Dan.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm from Alberta. Remember?
Okay, so basically, I like to start off by making it clear what everybody already knows. We Canadians do not have it easy. We got high taxes, inadequate pensions, we've got high mortgage expense, we've got braces and summer camp and tuition for the kids, inflation, on it goes. We don't have it easy here in Canada. And so therefore we have to take action. I have a feeling that your viewership, Darren, is quite active in bettering their financial futures, but a lot of Canadians aren't, and they really need to make a change. And it can be scary, but no one else is going to make that change for us. And one of the scariest things here is figuring out what your mortgage really costs you. I know rates are lower these days, but a $400,000 mortgage at 4.5%, 25-year AM, if you're at 38% marginal tax rate, how much do you have to earn to pay that mortgage back? Well, first off, we know we have to pay back that $400,000. Secondly, we have to pay the interest that accrues. And thirdly, we have to make these mortgage P&I payments with after-tax dollars. So we pay tax before we can make this payment. So in this scenario, we've got to earn over $1 million to pay off that $400,000 mortgage. Terribly expensive.
Over that 25 years?
Over that 25 years.
Yeah.
So, and we Canadians typically have two pretty pressing financial goals. We want this mortgage gone because it's so bloody expensive, but we also want to save for our retirement. But many of us don't have a choice of which we attack first, because if we don't contribute to our pension, nobody cares. But if we don't pay our mortgage, someone's going to come knocking on our door, right?
For
So
sure.
by concentrating on making our mortgage payments and not having a whole lot of jig left over at the end of the month, we're foregoing 25, 30, 40 years of compound growth potential because we're necessarily not investing as we're making our mortgage paid out.
Hmm.
So there's some potentially not terribly great outcomes that this can lead to. Living on a small fixed income, not fun. Being financially reliant on our children, maybe living in their basement suite, being forced to downsize, signing up for a reverse mortgage. Now, we Canadians, our senior Canadians, are happy a reverse mortgage is around and someone is willing to lend an unemployed senior citizen money. But if we don't have to sign up for a reverse mortgage, we don't want to. We'd rather avoid it. But year on year, 30% increase in uptake on reverse mortgages in Canada.
Wow.
Direct testament to the fact that we're not saving enough.
Mm.
Or what's another potential destiny for us in retirement? Right. Go into all these fast food joints, big box stores, and you see a lot of senior citizens there. And they're working there because they have to, not because they want to.
Yeah.
So no one's going to take care of us. We have to take care of ourselves. How can we do that? Reduce our tax bill, eliminate costly expenses as fast as we can, such as the mortgage, and invest for our future as early on and as often as possible. The sooner the better when it comes to compound growth. Now, I won't talk too much about debt, but there's two types of debt, as you and your listeners will be very clear on. There's non-deductible debt, which destroys wealth, and tax-deductible debt, which creates wealth. Yep. In order to generate these tax deductions, which do great things for our tax bill, we must necessarily be buying assets which are going to increase in value over time. It's the converse with non-deductible debt. And again, your viewers will understand, if you put debt to work for you, you're going to have a better outcome than if you avoid debt in its entirety.
Yeah.
So use your equity in your assets, and that includes your house. This isn't going to be for everybody. Some people are of the mindset, I was told all my life I need to be mortgage free by the time I retire. And that's their goal, and that's where they're going to go. But we know that if I've got $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 in equity sitting in my house doing nothing for me, it's earning less than zero due to inflation. Mm-hmm. So put it to work. Your mortgage can be one of your biggest investment opportunities. So with the Smith Maneuver, what you're going to see is you're going to convert your 100% non-tax deductible mortgage into a 100% tax deductible investment loan. Each month, you're going to generate valuable and increasing tax deductions. You're going to be able to eliminate your mortgage in record time. And each month, you're able to invest money that otherwise you wouldn't have available. This is new money, and there's no change required. You don't have to go and earn more money. You don't have to earn cash flow from your investments. This is new money that's available to you strictly by restructuring your personal finances. It all happens now simultaneously and needs no extra cash.
You know, my parents are in their late 70s, both of them still working. And they were taught to pay off their mortgage, be mortgage free. And they did that in their mid 40s. But, you know, the thing that they didn't plan for was loss of jobs and different things that happened to them through their life. Now, you know, by no means are they suffering in a way that they're struggling, but every month, you know, they're trying to get by and make ends meet in a way, you know. And I think that this is a perfect example of, you know, somebody that you know, could have used something like this years back and changed some strategies and might have ended up in a slightly different position.
Like your parents and maybe yourself, a lot of people being grown up, they've grown up with people older and wiser than them saying, pay off your mortgage as fast as you can. Mm-hmm. Right? And so it's this inertia. So I find that the older a person is, the more susceptible they are to being entrenched in this no mortgage mindset. Mm-hmm. The younger people like you and me, I'm going to classify myself as a young person along with you, Darren. You know, a lot of younger people say, oh, okay, you're asking me to maintain my debt balance, although convert it from bad debt to good debt, but you're asking me to maintain debt rather than pay it off? Yes, I am. Oh, okay. I've got so much debt anyways. They've already resigned themselves to the fact that they're going to die with debt, right? But we've got a solution where we can turn that bad debt into good debt and do lots of good things for them. How does it work? You're going to continue to make your monthly mortgage payment as you would if you're not doing the Smith Maneuver. That's all we're looking at here. That's the only thing coming out of pocket is that monthly mortgage payment you're making anyways. Each month with appropriate financing, whatever is reduced on principal is able to be reborrowed back via the secured line of credit on a readvanceable mortgage. And so if you don't have one, that's what this requires, getting into a readvanceable mortgage, and then you're set, you're ready to go. But whatever goes down on that non-deductible mortgage balance is able to be reborrowed when that limit on the line of credit increases to get invested.
So we're talking about home equity line of credit, essentially assigned to our principal
Yeah,
residence.
we got to be careful that, we're not just slapping a HELOC in second position beside an existing first, because then it's not going to re-advance. It's not going to allow this reborrowing to happen in real time. So you need a re-advanceable mortgage. And when we borrow that out each month, we get it invested. We do this each and every month. And because we're borrowing to invest, we get tax deductions, and they're growing on a monthly basis, an annual basis. And when that tax refund arrives each year, you take that money, which otherwise you wouldn't have received, and you make a prepayment against that mortgage, reborrow, and then invest that amount as well. So on a monthly basis and once annually, the base case scenario, you're getting invested each and every month and each and every year with that refund. So here's a typical mortgage. I get a down payment together, let's say 100 grand, I go borrow 400,000 from the bank, and I spend 25 years paying this off. This is what the readvanceable mortgage looks like. And a lot of your viewers will be, they'll understand what this mortgage is.
Yep.
But it's that same loan portion amortizing over 25 years or 30 years, whatever it is, but it's got that line of credit which is attached to it. Hence this little umbrella here, because it's one mortgage with two facilities. So the use of the borrowed funds on a monthly basis is critical here. We do not want to borrow that to make a Volvo, BMW, or Honda payment, because then we're borrowing to consume. We're just simply replacing non-deductible debt on one side of the mortgage with non-deductible debt on the other. We need to borrow to invest. So if we look at a mortgage payment of $2,200, I do need to update these values, because currently less would be going to interest and more to principal. But out of that 2,200, that 1,470 goes to interest to the bank. It's gone, goodbye. We don't see it again. But 730 reduces the principal on that $400,000 mortgage. Therefore, this line of credit limit opens up by the same 730. I borrow that out and I invest. Month 1, month 2, month 3, month 4, on we go, until the day arrives that I have zero non-deductible mortgage left. I've got a 100% tax deductible line of credit against my house. And because it's tax deductible, I've received those tax refunds. So they increase year on year. It's a very significant reduction of our tax bill over the amortization period. And because I've got these refunds, I can prepay once a year. That means I'm out of that non-deductible debt faster, making less non-deductible interest payments in total. And because I'm investing on a monthly and annual basis with those refunds, I'm taking advantage of compound growth now. I'm not waiting 25 years for that mortgage to be paid out and then maybe pulling equity to invest then, or starting to use my former mortgage payment to invest for my retirement, because guess what? It's too late. That former mortgage payment when you're 65 is not available to invest. It's going to pay for your retirement, right? So I mentioned that this requires no new cash from the homeowner. Once we restructure into that readvanceable mortgage, a common misconception, and there's tons of misinformation out there. So do not look for information on the Smith Maneuver on the internet, right? www.smithman.net, send an email, whatever you want to do, get the information from the source. But when I don't do the Smith Maneuver, I'm making that regular payment with my mortgage payment, in this case, $22.14 a month. But when I am doing the Smith Maneuver, I still have that mortgage payment, but I got an increasing balance on that line of credit, and the interest has to be served there. So if no cash is required out of my pocket, where's that coming from? And the answer lies in the increasing efficiency of the mortgage payment. That very first $22.14 payment I make, the very first one, a whole bunch goes to interest and some goes to principal, $728. So our very first month, I borrow that $728 out and I get it invested. The next month, that interest rate is being calculated against a lower balance, slightly lower balance. And so out of the same mortgage payment of $22.14, a little bit less goes to interest, a little bit more goes to principal. Now I have $730 I can pull out. I still only invest $728, and the $2 that's left in my Smith Manoeuvre checking account is available to service the interest on the first month's borrowing of $728. And this keeps on occurring. So at this point in time, month 4, I'm reborrowing $736. I'm still only investing $728, and the difference is available to service the interest on the first 3 months borrowing. And this continues. So what's it worth? We're seeing results several $100,000 $300, $400, $500,000, just the plain Jane Smith maneuver, which we just went through there. And I will go through a really quick demonstration, if you will allow, Darren, of the Smith Man calculator. I've just created a new scenario. And the first sheet here, it wants my income. So I'm making $150,000 a year. There's other types of income I can throw in, but I've got a rental property, and this is what a lot of you viewers will be interested in. And each year it sends me $36,000 in rental receipts, and it costs me $34,000 in rental expenses. So I'm slightly cash flow positive here. I can do the same thing with proprietorship income. Assets, let's say I've got mutual funds that are worth $30,000. I've got an emergency fund of $10,000. That's just in cash. Had that for a while. I can throw in some liabilities, deductible and non-deductible liabilities. And then marginal tax rate, this is automatically calculated. This is for BC. If you're a different province, you know your marginal tax rate, you can enter it here. So I've got my income, my assets, my liabilities inputted already. Obviously, I'm going through this pretty quick. But I get to this sheet and I've got a $750,000 house. My mortgage balance is currently $500,000 on that. Interest rate of 3%. Amortized defaults to 25 years there. There's the calculated payment. Any calculator, amortization calculator, is going to give you that answer.
Yep.
There's nothing special there, but you haven't seen everything yet. So for the readvanceable line of credit portion, I've entered 3% on the loan, and 2.45 is prime plus a premium of 0.5%, prime plus a half, so 2.95% on that monthly reborrowing. And then we are going to start to see some results here. I can adjust the estimated growth rate of my portfolio. Let's say I want to throw in 7%. Now, this calculation here tells me that out of that very first mortgage payment, while some goes to interest, 871 is going to reduce principal. Therefore, I can borrow that 871 back, and I'm going to do so each and every month. That's what I'm investing, and we start to see some results here at this point. This is taxation. So there's my deductions over the amortization period, and there's my refunds. Nothing on the amortization improvement here yet, but my net worth is already improved by $320,000 over the AM that is inputted in the calculator. So 700 portfolio value minus investment loan, 100% tax deductible after this conversion process, 387. So a net 320. I'm taking my mortgage payment that I'm making anyways, and I'm putting that to work for me. I'm getting invested immediately, starting now, each and every month. I'm generating tax deductions, which otherwise I wouldn't see, which allows me to prepay that mortgage, which otherwise I wouldn't be able to. So that's just the plain Jane. That's not including any of the accelerators.
If you can come back, we're going to do a part 2 here, and you can dive into these accelerators, because I'd love to do that and really fully understand how this can really be optimized, if you're okay with that. Does that work?
No, I'm fine. I mean, with attention spans these days, it's good to keep it to 15, 20 minutes. I mean, I forgot what I was talking about 10 minutes ago. So, so yeah, well, part 2 coming up.
Awesome. If you guys enjoyed the session today with Robinson, go ahead and hit the like button below. You can also subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell, and please feel free to leave comments and questions below for me. And make sure you check out part 2 of this video, where Robinson and I dive into the accelerators and how we can really optimize the Smith Maneuver. Robinson, thanks so much for taking some time out of your day to be here with me. I look forward to part 2 of this segment. And thanks again for taking some time to walk us through this.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
And for those people that want to get a hold of you, what's the best way to do that? I'm going to leave it in the description below, but again, what is the best way to contact you for further information?
Yeah, the website is www.smithman.net. It's not, I don't ask people to type in smithmanoeuvre.com or anything, because nobody can spell maneuver, including myself, or info@smithman.net by email.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Robinson. And I look forward to part 2 of our session, and we'll talk to you very soon.
You will.